What is going on, everybody? The Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth set has been out for a little bit now, and it's brought a whole lot of new and interesting commanders into the EDH format. So let's take a look at a brand new deck right now. What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Roxora, and here we do all things Magic and Magic Spellslingers. Today we're doing another Commander deck tech where I take a look at a decklist submission, talk about the commanders, the individual card choices, as well as the strategy overall. At the end, I'll give it a rating out of 10. Today we're doing a decklist submission from another friend of the channel, Battle Brother B, and they have included, really excited to brew with some of the new cards from the Tales of Middle-earth Magic cards, both the ones from like Commander, the Commanders, set, and also just the new cards. Obviously, everyone should be familiar or has probably heard about the crazy cards like Orcish Bowmaster, the One Ring. I don't think there's. I think Bowmaster is in here. Pretty sure. Yeah, Bowmaster's in here, but nothing else. I don't think the One Ring's in here. Nope. Yeah, but it's a very cool time when there's all these new cards coming out and new commanders to build around. So we're gonna take a look at that. Before we do, if you enjoy the content, you find it valuable, remember to like, comment, subscribe. It really helps me out. If you have a deck list that you want me to review or want me to feature in a video, all you got to do, put it in the comments, or you could also put it in the Discord. There's a dedicated channel just for this series. So yeah, always looking for submissions, always happy. And even if I don't do video, right, we can chat about it, and it's cool to see what everyone's doing. All right, let's go ahead and talk about our commanders. All right, so yes, you heard me correctly. We have commanders because we have a commander pair with partner. So we've got Pippin, Word of Isengard here. Also of note, I don't really know anything about Lord of the Rings. I have nothing against it, just haven't sat down and watched it. So if you know these characters and you're excited by them, awesome. I'm not really paying attention to like the flavor or anything like that, just talking about the cards themselves. Anyways, Pippin, Warden of Isengard. I also believe I'm pronouncing this correctly. If I'm not, let me know in the comments. But we got black green for 2/2 legendary creature, halfling advisor, partner with Mary, Warden of Isengard. And then has two abilities here. One tap to create a food token. If you don't know what food tokens do, look it up. Then it has the second ability, which is really interesting. Tap, sacrifice 4 food tokens. Other creatures you control get +2/+3 and gain haste until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. So you can instantly see that this card just sits on the battlefield, makes food, and then for no mana, just basically does this kind of minor overrun effect. It doesn't give trample, but it does give haste. So it can be kind of nice since, again, it doesn't cost mana, so you can hold creatures in your hand, get 4 food, play a bunch of the creatures out, and then activate this, and then the creatures that you just played will get the +3/+3 and will be able to attack because of haste. So very cool to put a very good attacking force into play and immediately start attacking. So very cool. And then also, if you ever get into kind of like a race scenario with other people, potentially the food will also provide value with that life gain. And then it is paired with Mary, Warden of Isengard, which is 1 green-white. So this is an Obzon deck, as you can see, for a 1/4 legendary creature, halfling advisor. And it says whenever 1 or more artifacts enter the battlefield under your control, you create a 1/1 white soldier token with lifelink. This ability triggers only once each turn, so you can instantly see again how it combines with Pippin, right? You play Pippin first, play Mary immediately after. Again, it's just 1 mana more, so it's kind of a good 2/3 play. And then after that, anytime you are activating Pippin to create a food, then you also get a 1/1 soldier with lifelink. And then also, once you have enough soldiers, or once you have a good amount, you'll probably have enough food to sacrifice 4 foods and give those soldiers +3/+3. So again, very, very easy combination here. Just going to be gaining incremental advantage every single turn just by activating Pippin, making a food and a soldier, and then every so often, again, just with these cards, it's every 4 turns, right? But again, you could have other food cards that might be doing other things, making more food or doing things with your food. So you might be doing this effect more and more and more. So very interesting combination. These cards obviously work really, really well together. Now let's take a look at the actual deck list and what it's doing. All right, so here we have the deck list here. Once again, thanks to Battle Brother B for this submission. Now, some things to note about this deck before we actually get into it. So again, the deck is going to be built primarily for Seed EDH power level. So as you can see, pretty expensive in price range. But again, the thing that's nice about this deck is that it's a Stax deck. It's just trying to beat down. So there's not really any necessary pieces. If you want to build this for a lower power level and you want to omit some things for budget reasons, then you can absolutely do so at your own discretion. Again, to each their own, right? But I also think it's good to just show a general strategy that you can take with Mary and Pippin. So yeah, basically what we have here is just a classic Stax deck. Playing a lot of disruptive effects, and then just try to beat down. There are no combos here. There are no ways to go infinite. The primer, right, is pretty simple. It says cast rule of law, make a wide board, make food, win. Right, so there's no combo lines here. There's no special like anything. It's just play Stax pieces, play creatures, beat down. So let's talk about the Stax pieces that we are looking at. So some of the big ones like Collector Oof, Drannith Magistrate, Aethersworn Canoness, Spirited Labyrinth, preventing people from drawing cards, Eidolon of Rhetoric, being a rule of law. Speaking of rule of law, we have the actual rule of law effects like Rule of Law and Deafening Silence. We also have more disruptive enchantments like Blind Obedience, Rest in Peace, and Stony Silence. And then Grafdigger's Cage, Null Rod. I mean, like, we have everything. We have all of the disruptive effects that you can think of to disrupt all of these things. Opposition Agent, not really considered a Stax piece. It's just kind of considered a good card. I mean, I don't know how we really consider this to be as how Staxy it is. But yeah, and then we have Drana and Linvala, and just Linvala, which turn off activated abilities. The first one here, obviously, stealing them. We've also got Hushbringer, which, I don't think really shuts off anything in this deck, besides maybe like Bowmaster, Champion, right? There are some things that it turns off, Goose, and things like that. But otherwise is still good to turn off death triggers, right? So like Protean Hulk and things like that. Turning off Protean Hulk is pretty cool. Yeah, Aven Mind Sensor, shutting off searches. Archon of Emeria as, again, an extra rule of law effect. Speaking of other rule of law effects, there's the new kind of new one, which isn't super great in Phyrexian Sensor. Says non-Phyrexian creatures enter the battlefield tapped, right? But also can't cast more than one non-Phyrexian spell each turn. Presumably, you're going to be able to take advantage of this card more than everybody else, or you won't be as negatively affected, right? Hopefully you're okay with your creatures entering the battlefield tapped if you are playing your creatures more often and your creatures are going to be packing a bigger punch, right? What else? Kind of Stax pieces. Elish Norn, right? Elish Norn also being kind of like a one-sided Hushbringer. Again, not really a lot of ETB effects that really benefit you. Again, like Mary can only happen once per turn, so that's not going to get doubled. But again, like Bowmaster, Lampholt, Endurance, I guess, right? Not really trying to take advantage of this too much. Just trying to shut off your opponent's ETBs. I think that's it for a lot of the hardcore Stax pieces. Yeah. So let's talk about just the the other parts of the deck, right, we have also a lot of mana acceleration, right? So you have the Mana Dorks, Absence Pilgrim, Delighted Halfling is probably great here because, again, we're really trying to cast our commanders and have them not get countered. Sylvan Save, or sorry, Finhorn Elves, Goose. Goose is really good here, right? Making food, so like you can use it for the mana, but then also you can just start making food, right? So you use Pippin to make a food on one turn, Goose to make a food on another turn, right? So this is triggers only once each turn, but if it triggers during somebody else's turn, right, that works. I didn't talk about Dauthi Voidwalker. I missed that one. Again, kind of a sax beast, like opposition agent, but also just kind of a good card. Shuts off graveyard stuff, but also can just cast one of your opponent's spells. Back to Mana Ramp here with Bloom Tender. And I think that's it for a lot of the mana producers. As you'll notice, there's not any of the crazy artifact mana that you typically see in a CDH deck, like Mox Diamond, Mana Crypt, even Soul Ring. There is no Soul Ring in this deck. There are 2 artifacts here, and one of them being Null Rod. All right, so not trying to do any kind of mana acceleration except with creatures. I also missed Thalia. Thalia, again, people know Thalia. I feel like I don't have to explain why Thalia exists in this deck. What else was I gonna say? Yeah, so then let's talk about the beatdown stuff, right? Beatdown stuff, right? We've got where are you gonna be? Boom, 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 boom. Sarah Ascendant. Sarah Ascendant, if you play this on turn 1, is just 6/6 lifelink. That's really good. Can just kind of win a game on its own if left unanswered. And yeah. What else we got? I talked about Orcish Bowmaster. This card's crazy. As you can see, it's $45 right now. Says whenever an opponent draws a card except the first one they draw each turn, in each of their draw steps, deals 1 damage to any target and then amasses 1. So punishes people for drawing extra cards, right? The Rhystic Studies of the world, the Brainstorms of the world, the Timna Weavers of the world, and all those sorts of things, just punishes them and produces a very large orc if they do so. So I got Adeline, Resplendent Cathar, has power equals the number of creatures you control. When it attacks, you make a 1/1. It's tapped and attacking that player or planeswalker that you control. So, and it's got vigilance, which is nice. So it can get in there, but it can also block. And yeah, this thing just puts on the heat really fast. Elishnorn, Grand Cenobites. We talked about the other Elishnorn. Here's the OG. Right, 7 mana, so it's a lot of mana, but it gives other creatures you control +2/+2, and creatures your opponents control get -2/-2. So it'll often just wipe your opponent's boards while pumping your own. So very, very strong card if you can get it down. This is would be like the win condition, right, of most types of decks like these that again just try and beat down. What else was I going to say? Oh, Chatterfang. Chatterfang I was going to talk about it as both like a value card, but also can just beat down, right? Force Walk is not the thing that I'm referencing, right? But the fact that it can make a bunch of squirrels as you're making a bunch of food, and then you can use the effect of Pippin, right, to buff up all of the squirrels. Yeah, I think that's it. Again, like the deck really relies on using Pippin's effect, right, to really beat down. Again, a lot of these creatures are pretty small, pretty unassuming, but again, once the Pippin comes down and starts activating, it's really, really, really nice. I wasn't sure where I should mention Lion Sash. Lion Sash kind of like a scavenging ooze, but can also pump up creatures or get big itself. Just good to shut off graveyards, just kind of a general nice tech to have. It can be fetched off of Enlightened Tutor, which is also kind of nice. But also if you're doing that, you're probably just doing like Rest in Peace or something. I guess it could also be fetched up off of Worldly Tutor, which is another important thing. I don't think so like there's not an effect, right, that messes with the graveyard besides like Dalthi or something like that. So if you wanted to like someone already has a large graveyard and you want to start picking it apart, Lion Sash might be good for that. Yeah, so now let's talk about like kind of like the value or kind of like other elements to the deck. So we have Giver of Runes and Mother of Runes. Both of these cards. There's no Skrelv. Maybe there should be a Skrelv. Maybe not. But both of these cards really, really good. They protect your creatures, so you can go like turn 1 Mother of Runes, turn 2 Pippin, if your mana base allows, and that's going to be really strong. Can't really interact with Pippin before they interact with Mother of Runes, and if they try to interact with Mother of Runes can give herself protection, so it's really good. Sylvan Safekeeper, also being good protection. What else was I going to mention about this? Oh, sorry. And then value stuff. Where's the value stuff? We've got Peregrine. Peregrine Took. 2 and a green, 2/3, legendary creature, halfling citizen. It says if one or more tokens would be created under your control, those tokens plus an additional food token are created instead. So already you can see it speeds up the clock for Pippin's activations, right? So instead of taking 4 turns, it's now only going to take 2 turns, which is really, really good. So yeah, and then it also has this ability, sacrifice 3 foods, draw a card. So really, really powerful effect. The game is being stalled out, right? Just drawing a bunch of cards. If let's say, you already have a large board going, you don't really need more power, right? Or something like that, right? Just refill your stuff. Speaking of that, we've got the same thing here in Savvy Hunter, old card from Eldraine, where food originated from, right? 1 black green for 3/3 human warrior. Whenever it attacks or blocks, you create a food token. Awesome. And then sacrifice 2 foods, draw a card. So a little bit of a cheaper cost there for drawing a card, but obviously Peregrine Took doubles up on all of your food generation, right? So if you ever had anything like Pippin plus like Gilded Goose, that would just be completely nuts, right? Yeah. The other value card or kind of interesting card here is Mirkwood Bats, common of all things from the Lord of the Rings set. 3 and a black, 2/3 bat with flying, and whenever you create or sacrifice a token, each opponent loses 1 life. So again, while under a Stax piece, or while under lock of the army of Stax hate pieces, right? Mirkwood Bats can just come down. Pippin can continue to create treasures. I am not certain of how Mirkwood Bats would work with something like Peregrine Took or Chatterfang. So I don't know if it's one instance of creating or if it's right each instance of it, right? So like you make if you have Peregrine Took and Chatterfang and Pippin, right, and this. And you make a food, and instead of making a food, you make a food, another food, and a squirrel. It's unclear whether, to me right now, with whether Mirkwood Bats would make people lose 1 life or 3 life. But either way, it doesn't really matter. It's still a really, really good card here to, again, just stall as you're stalling out the game to just incrementally kill people with that. And again, this is also in tandem when you assemble all of these pieces with something like Seedborn Views, which says untap all permanents you control during each player's untap step. Anyone who plays CDH or has ever played against any kind of Thrasios deck should be familiar with Seedborn Views. It's absolutely crazy, just getting to basically have 4 untap steps. So again, allowing you to basically make 4 foods a turn cycle with Pippin. Even more if you have, again, things like Gilded Goose or anything like that. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. I think I talked about every single creature here. Did I miss any? And I talked about endurance. I talked about these. I don't think I mentioned priest, but like priest is obviously really good. I talked about Bloom Tender. Yeah, I think that's all the creatures here. Oh, I didn't talk about Esper Sentinel, but Esper Sentinel is outstanding. There is no Ranger Captain. Realizing there's no Ranger Captain Vios. Um, Interesting. Or there's no silence effect. There is a silence, but there's no Ranger Captain. Huh. I'm wondering if there should be a Ranger Captain, because Ranger Captain would be really good to play here. Yeah, I think that would be my main critique, is like maybe cutting like this Phyrexian sensor or something like it to go and fetch up like, yeah, like a Mother of Runes or like a gilded goose. Like that seems pretty good. I don't know, just an idea. Again, obviously it's still shut off by like Hushbringer, right? But like I don't think that's a big deal. Anyways, let's talk about some of the spells here that we didn't talk about before. So we've got one of the nice things about playing these commanders in a Stax deck is that we get to play black. So we get to play Imperial Seal, Demonic Tutor, and Vampiric Tutor. These cards are obviously great when you can just tutor up the best cards in your deck for whatever situation you have currently in front of you. Speaking of tutors, there's Enlightened Tutor and Worldly Tutor, which we mentioned. Again, fetching up these cards, or fetching up any card in your deck that you need is nice. Illidan's Call is basically Worldly Tutor, but 1 mana more, but it puts it into your hand, so it's pretty nice. Finale of Devastation, getting to search a library or a graveyard, so if something died, right, for any creature X or less, put it onto the battlefield. And then it can also be a win condition, right? It can be kind of another overrun effect. If you have a crap ton of mana and just don't have anything to do with it, you just draw this or find this somehow, cast it, and kill the board. Wings of Abandon here is a nice one-sided wrath. It says exile a target creature you don't control. Basically, it's Path to Exile for all creatures you don't control for 2 mana, but then you can overload it for 6 mana, and that's really, really good. It will wipe your opponent's boards, but keep your board around. We have Autumn's Veil and Veil of Summer here because those are basically counter spells, right? If your opponent tries to counter your stuff, you cast these, and it basically makes their counter spells moot, and that's really good. Speaking of Winds of Abandon or Path to Exiles, we also have Path to Exile and Swords to Plowshares. Again, really trying to be beating down, and so if your opponent plays something super, super large that you can't get past, like a Villas or something like that, you need to be able to deal with it. Deadly Relic also kind of good in that same vein. Also, having a 2-mana commander is also nice, right? So just getting to cast Pippin on turn 2 and instantly have access to your Deadly Relic for free is very, very nice. So we do have the Silence effect, Silence being a really good card to stop your opponents from winning the game. Noxious Survival, just getting whatever your best card back on top of your library. If someone kills like a Stax piece, you just get it back. That's pretty good. Court of Calling, again, just like another Finale of Devastation, except Convoke is a very nice clause there. Getting to basically use your already existing creatures to build on your board, search a library, and it is also an instant, whereas Finale is a sorcery, obviously. So getting to just pass the turn with a bunch of mana up, kind of surprise your opponents with a whatever piece you need, right? So someone starts going for Underworld Breach combo, right, and all of a sudden you can just like fetch up Archon of Emeria, and yeah, just shut them off right there. We talked about the artifacts here, right? Grafdigger's Cage shutting down quite a lot of things. Grafdigger's Cage shutting off your own Court of Calling and finales and things like that is a little unfortunate, but it's probably still worth an inclusion. I don't know. I'm not going to comment on that. I know some people that play these Stax decks are okay with having some kind of effects that disrupt themselves, since they can kind of get away with it, right? Again, this deck can win the game without ever casting Finale or Court of Calling, right? Whereas other decks might not be able to win with a Grafdigger's Cage on the battlefield. And then Nulrun, as we talked about, another reason why we don't have any of the mana ramp in this deck. But speaking of ramp, we got a really nice enchantment in Carpet of Flowers. This card's fantastic. Just gives you a bunch of mana every turn if you are playing against a blue player. Obviously, again, it's a little bit of a specific card, so depending on your meta, you might want to contemplate this card. But generally speaking, it's really really good. As long as there's one blue player in your lobby or in your pod, right? It'll do the thing, right? It'll do what you want it to do. We talked about Deafening Silence, Blind Obedience. We talked about all these. Sylvan Library, another good value piece. Just drawing 3 cards a turn at the cost of 8 life. It's good. I don't know what else to say about it. And then another interesting value piece in Trail of Crumbs. Might look a little bit underwhelming, right? Because it just makes the food when it enters. But then from that point on, anytime you sacrifice a food, doesn't have to be paying the 2 mana, right? We have the Savvy Hunter and the Peregrine Took and other things like that might sacrifice foods. So if you do anything like that, you can pay 1 mana and basically impulse draw, right? Look at the top 2 cards, take any permanent from among them, put them into your hand. Reveal a permanent card, put it into your hand, and put the rest of the bottom of your library in any order. So you have to show them. You have to show them because you have to show them you're taking a permanent card and not like an instant or something like that. But it's still really really good at just drawing through your deck, finding more creatures to beat down with. Awesome. And then there's nothing too crazy about the lands here except for where is it? The Shire. This land cycle was like really interesting initially, right? People were really excited about it. Turns out a lot of them are pretty bad. Playing tap lands on turn 1, not really what you want to be doing when you want to be taking game actions as soon as possible. But in this deck, it's definitely 100% worth it for the Shire. Notice we're not playing any of the other ones, right? We're just playing the Shire because paying 2 to and tapping an untapped creature to create a food when you are trying to do the Pippin thing is really, really strong. Again, really, really strong when you can use it to draw cards or when you can use it to make creatures, right? So very, very, very cool inclusion in this list. Otherwise, it's the standard Abzan mana base. You got the dual lands. You have a Dryad Arbor here for your fetch land, or sorry, for tutoring up creatures if you need off of your fetch lands, right, of the Windswept Teeth and everything. Boseiju and Aganjo, right, are basically free. The Homeward Path here, not really for any major reason other than Gilded Drake. This is the only colorless land in the deck, right? Not really trying to do anything else. Again, being a 3-color deck, but it's worth it again because someone Gilding Draking your commander in a long drawn out game is going to be tough. So having that there to just reset any Gilded Drake shenanigans. Yeah, I believe that's it. It's pretty straightforward. Again, just trying to play our creatures. It's very refreshing to see, right? No combos, no needing to explain any crazy, combo Protean Hulk lines or, explaining how Glinthorn Buccaneer works, right? Just play creatures, play disruptive effects, and stacks at the board and beat down. So that's the deck strategy overall. What would I give this out of 10? I think in terms of like a new deck, I would probably give it, an 8 out of 10, an 8.5. Let's go 8.5, right? I think again there's some things to figure out, like maybe fitting in the Ranger Captain. I think that card would be a really nice addition. Just picks out so many tech pieces. Again, I'm not sure about Grafdigger's Cage shutting down some of your own things. But the general game plan of play Pippin, play Mary, and then or it stacks out of the board and then do the thing, right? Again, typically you're going to want to play something like a Rule of Law first and then start playing these things is really really strong, and the win condition is really really cool, as opposed to again a lot of other Stax decks that can't play certain Stax pieces because they're trying to win with a combo, or Stax pieces that don't have a win condition but then can't close the game out effectively, and then so they can't effectively win the game, and so then someone else removes the Stax pieces or gets wipes the Stax player's board, and then ends up being unable to close out the game or something like that. This deck, once it locks down the board, is going to pretty swiftly start activating Pippin and then beating people's faces in. So I really really like that aspect, and again it's a great pairing of the partners right here. Again, you can't pair them with anything else. So it's kind of a non-statement there, right? But like these two commanders work so well together. It's really cool to see. All right, I think that's all I got for this. Again, thanks to Battle Brother B for the submission. If you guys have any decks that y'all are building with the new Lord of the Rings cards, feel free to send them in. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for me. Thank y'all for watching. If you enjoyed, remember, like, comment, subscribe. Stuff really helps me out, and I'll see you guys for the next video.